It's 490 BC, and Persia's massive empire threatens Greece and the city-state of Athens.
Everything was on the line for the Athenians. They knew that if the Persians took their city, it meant complete destruction.
To save Greece, Commander Miltiades and his citizen army must defeat Persian commander Datis and his imperial forces at Marathon.
No Greek army had ever defeated a Persian army before, so they must have been very, very scared of the prospects.
You are Commander Miltiades. You face the questions that could win or lose the war. We ask, you decide. Test your skills, strategy and nerve in Command Decisions. By 490 BC, the Persian Empire has conquered most of the known world, what's known today as the Middle East and Asia. Athens, a democratic city-state in Greece, has angered the Persians by providing aid to a small Greek rebellion.
The Persians wanted to punish the Athenians for joining in a rebellion against them. They were determined to burn the city of Athens to the ground and put one of their pro-Persian kings in place of the Athenian government.
King Darius, the great Persian ruler, wants revenge. He sends his most trusted military officer, Commander Datis, to crush Athens and claim Greece for Persia. With Greece under Persian control, there would be nothing to stop the empire's expansion into Western Europe.
He's got one avenue, and his expansion route is via Greece out and into Western Europe as we know it nowadays. Greece and the Athenians, the Spartans, these nation-states in his way, were the one thing that could hold him up.
In early September, on a small island just off Persia's western coast, Commander Datis loads 200 ships with 30,000 troops and crosses the Aegean Sea towards Athens. On the way, he conquers several Greek islands, including Erέτria.
He captured Erέτria pretty easily and burned it to the ground and took the population off into slavery.
Riding the wave of victory, Datis and his army land their ships at Marathon, a plain on the eastern coast of Greece. They're feeling dangerously confident.
They expected a very easy victory. They thought the Greeks would either run away or surrender, or if it actually came to a fight, that they would outnumber and outflank the Greeks and wipe them out easily.
Back in Athens, the citizens spot the ships and mobilize an army of 11,000 to face the trained Persian warriors. Their leader is Commander Miltiades, an Athenian nobleman who served with the Persian army in his youth. The citizens look to him for the ideal location to make their stand. You are Commander Miltiades. Where's the best place to face the Persian army? A. The shore. Force the Persians to fight before they've settled. B. The city. Protect your people while you fight. C. The road. Keep the battle close to home without endangering the city. The answer? You don't know which road the Persians will take to Athens, and protecting your people in the city won't give you an offensive edge. But since Greeks typically fight from inside their cities, meeting the Persian army on the shore at Marathon is a bold move that will catch Datis off guard. The answer is A.
The Persians would have been surprised, first of all, to see the Athenians on the battlefield in such numbers. They certainly would have expected observers, but they wouldn't have expected the whole of the Athenian army.
As 11,000 Athenian soldiers march to Marathon, Miltiades sends his fastest soldier, Phidippides, 150 miles on foot to Sparta. Although the Spartans are Athenian rivals, Miltiades hopes they'll consider fighting together against a common enemy.
Athens and Sparta had both had disagreements with the Persian Empire over the past 50 years, so the Athenians were confident that the Spartans would come to their help.
But when Phidippides arrives, the Spartans are in the middle of a religious festival. They will not march until the full moon, nearly a week away. The Athenians are on their own to face the Persian attack. the 11th of September, Miltiades and the Athenians arrive at Marathon and observe their enemy from a tree-covered hillside. Datis' army is well equipped with cavalry and archers, and with over 30,000 men, the Persians outnumber the Athenians 3-1.
When the Athenians arrived at Marathon and saw the Persian army, they were terrified. Half of the Athenian generals didn't want to fight at all.
For 6 days, Miltiades stays put, unsure of his first move, while Datis waits for him to emerge from the hills and fight on open ground. But each passing day poses a new threat for Miltiades. While the Greek army's away from the city, Athens could fall prey to traitors. How do you protect Athens from traitors? A. Send a detachment to Athens. Buy time to wait for the Spartans. B. Return to Athens yourself. Your presence will silence traitors. C. Attack now. Finish the battle and return to Athens as quickly as possible. The answer? Sending a detachment of your troops to Athens will weaken your forces, and your experience fighting with the Persian army makes you vital to the battle at hand. Your only option is to attack now, finish the battle, and return to Athens as quickly as possible. The answer is C.
He thought that if the Athenians didn't fight, divisions would grow back in the city and someone would betray Athens to the Persians without a battle ever taking place.
With the fate of Athens on the line, Miltiades has no choice but to fight now. He's in luck. Datis has ordered his cavalry loaded onto ships and transported ahead to Athens. The absence of horses will give the Athenians an advantage at Marathon.
These animals weren't timid little riding horses. These were horses of war. They were trained killers. By removing the horses from the battlefields, the Persians have effectively passed power to the Athenians.
But the Persian infantry line is still nearly a mile long. Since his army is greatly outnumbered, Miltiades must lengthen his line to match the Persian troops or leave his flanks open to attack. In order to extend the line, Miltiades must thin and therefore weaken part of the line. What part of the infantry line should remain strong? A. The centre, where the Persians put their best troops. B. The flanks. Easily slaughter Persia's weakest troops and win the war by momentum. C. The rear. Soldiers can quickly move forward to exploit any breakthroughs. It's the 17th of September, 490 BC, the Battle of Marathon. The fate of civilized Greece is on the line as Commander Miltiades and his Athenian soldiers prepare to face Commander Datis and the mighty Persian army. But the 11,000 Athenian soldiers are outnumbered 3-1 by the 30,000 Persians, and the enemy front is over a mile long. Miltiades must extend and therefore thin his formation to match the Persian line. You are Commander Miltiades. What part of the infantry line should remain strong? A. The centre, where the Persians put their best troops. B. The flanks. Easily slaughter Persia's weakest troops and win the war by momentum. C. The rear. Soldiers can quickly move forward to exploit any breakthroughs. The answer? Although a strong centre sounds like a good idea, your army could easily become outflanked, and strengthening the back line will leave your front line defenceless. But keeping the flanks strong allows you to crush Persia's weakest troops and control the boundaries of the battle. The answer is B.
When Miltiades brought his army down to face the Persians, he was hoping that his plan would work. He didn't know if it would work, because nobody had ever tried it before.
Commander Miltiades deliberately weakens the centre of his line, leaving the flanks strong. The Athenians walk shoulder to shoulder down the hill towards the waiting enemy.
The Athenians must have been terrified as they marched down the hill toward the Persian army. Probably very few Athenians thought they would make it out of this battle alive.
As the Athenian army approaches, Datis orders the Persians to stand ready with bows and arrows. How do you tell your troops to avoid the arrows? A. Use shields. They'll deflect arrows. B. Walk zigzag. You'll be a difficult target. C. Charge the enemy. You'll cover the target area faster. The answer? The soldiers are marching too closely to make zigzag effective, and cowering under shields will slow the advance. But if you charge the enemy, you'll startle the Persian archers and be less vulnerable to attack. The answer is C.
When the Athenians advanced against the Persian army, Miltiades ordered them to advance at double speed to close the ground between themselves and the Persians as quickly as possible. Our expression to advance at the double comes from going twice as fast as usual to give the Persian archers only half the time to shoot arrows at.
With the Greek army charging, the Persians overshoot their arrows with no time to reload. The two armies collide in fierce hand-to-hand combat.
The big spears are coming down, the fighting swords are coming out, the huge great metal shields are being brought into action. Bang your enemy with a shield, move his shield out the way, stab him with his little sword, move on, bang, stab, stab.
In close quarters, the Persians' short scimitars and light armour are no match for the Athenians' heavy armour and long spears. Everywhere, Persian soldiers lie dead on the battlefield. So far, Miltiades' strategy is working exactly as planned. On the flanks, where Athenian soldiers are more numerous, they're pushing the Persians back with tremendous force. Finally, the Persians on the wings of the battle turn to flee while the Athenians give chase. Where's the best place to chase retreating Persian troops? A. Into the marsh. B. Into the ocean. C. Up the hill. The answer? If you chase Persian soldiers up the hill, they can hide in the trees, and moving towards the ocean will lead them to the safety of their ships. But if you force them into the marsh, they'll struggle and drown. The answer is A. Miltiades orders his troops to chase the retreating Persians into a nearby marsh, where the foreign invaders suffer disastrous consequences.
This was a very deadly and dangerous place, and the Persians didn't know their way around in this march. So hundreds and hundreds of them drowned in the muddy waters.
Meanwhile, the Greeks in Miltiades' weaker centre line are in trouble. Here the Persians are taking ground. If Miltiades doesn't act fast, the Greek centre line will collapse, and Persian forces will turn on the remaining Greeks. How can your troops on the flanks help the trapped troops in the middle? A. Stop chasing the retreating Persians and double back on the attacking Persians. B. Regroup and drive a wedge between the Greeks and the Persians fighting at the centre line. C. Run for the Persian ships. The Persians will abandon the battle to give chase. It's late morning on the 17th of September 490 BC. The Greek and Persian armies are in the thick of battle on the plains of Marathon. Commander Miltiades and the outer flanks of his Athenian troops have overpowered the wings of the Persian line and have them on the run. But now Persian commander Datis' centre forces are about to overrun Miltiades' weaker centre line. You are Commander Miltiades. How can your troops on the flanks help the trapped troops in the middle? A. Stop chasing the retreating Persians and double back on the attacking Persians. B. Regroup and drive a wedge between the Greeks and the Persians fighting at the centre line. C. Run for the Persian ships. The Persians will abandon the battle to give chase. The answer? There's no guarantee that the Persians will follow Greek soldiers running for the ships. And regrouping to drive a wedge between the Greeks and the Persians at the centre line would leave the enemy an open escape route. But abandoning the chase on the retreating enemy and doubling back on the attacking Persians allows you to encircle and entrap them. The answer is A.
When the Athenian wings had broken through the Persian army, Miltiades got his men together, stopped the pursuit and turned them around to bring them back to attack the Persian centre in its rear and destroy it completely.
Realizing defeat, Datis orders his remaining forces to retreat to the safety of the Persian ships. The Athenians follow their enemy into the crashing surf and cut them down as they flee.
The Persians were fighting now to save their very lives, and so consequently the fighting within the surf line would have been particularly ferocious.
Despite heavy casualties, many Persian soldiers managed to board their ships. Miltiades must not let them leave the harbour.
If the Persians managed to get back on their ships after the battle and sail around to Athens, they might still capture the city of Athens.
How do you keep the ships from leaving the harbour? A. Board the ships and take crews hostage. B. Cut the sails with swords. You'll disable more ships with fewer men. C. Set the ships on fire. You'll stop the ships and kill Persian soldiers. The answer? The Greeks are still outnumbered, so taking the ships and crew hostage would be impossible. And cutting the sails with swords won't necessarily keep the crewmen from rowing away. But setting the ships on fire eliminates all possibility of escape. The answer is C. Miltiades tells his soldiers to use flaming torches to set the Persian ships on fire. But they only managed to destroy 7 of the 200 vessels. As feared, the remaining ships set sail in the direction of the Bay of Phaleron, a port on the peninsula near Athens.
Miltiades was very worried that if the Persians sailed back to the city of Athens before the Athenians knew Miltiades had won the battle, the Athenians might be terrified when they saw the fleet and surrender to Persia anyway, even though the army had won a great victory.
To save the city, Miltiades must get word of the Greek victory to Athens, and fast. Who do you send to warn the city to hold fast when the Persians arrive? A. The runner Phidippides. He's your fastest man, and time is of the essence. B. A servant. A servant isn't battle-weary and is in better condition to make the trip. C. Go yourself. If there are still traitors willing to betray the city, they will not challenge your authority. The answer? Although you command respect in Athens, you're needed here to urge your weary soldiers home as quickly as possible. And servants are not trained runners, so they can't physically make the trip. But since time is of the essence, it's imperative that you send the fastest messenger, Phidippides, to warn the city. The answer is A.
It would have taken Phidippides about 2 hours to run to the city of Athens. The distance from Marathon to Athens was 26 miles, 385 yards, the same distance as a modern marathon.
Phidippides runs to Athens at top speed. Upon arrival, he announces breathlessly, "We have won," and collapses dead on the spot. Meanwhile, Commander Miltiades and his men race towards Athens to defend the city. But there's a chance they won't arrive in time. The citizens of Athens may have to fend for themselves. What can the citizens of Athens do to prepare for a Persian invasion? A. Barricade the gate. Keep the Persians out until the Greek army arrives. B. Abandon the city. Take refuge in the hills. C. Pose as soldiers from a distance. The Persians will be fooled. The answer? Barricading the gate will not keep out Persian arrows, and abandoning the city will leave it wide open to enemy invasion. But if the citizens of Athens stand in windows and line the walls, the city will appear well defended, and the Persians might not attack. The answer is C. The citizens of Athens arm the city. Every man, woman and child stand visibly along the walls and in windows to make the city look well defended.
What you're trying to do is you're trying to bluff the enemy. If you look like a soldier, you might very well be a soldier.
Datis sails into Phaleron Bay, ready to swarm Athens. But to his dismay, the city appears well armed. Meanwhile, Miltiades and his victorious Greeks are fast approaching. The sight is too much for Datis and the defeated Persians. Without even setting foot on land, they turn around and sail home. The Battle of Marathon ended in complete success for Miltiades and the Athenian army. Even though they were outnumbered 3-1, they killed 6,400 Persians, whilst losing only 192 of their own men.
No one expected the Athenians to win the Battle of Marathon. So when they did, news raced around the Greek world. No one could believe what they had done.
Not only had the Greeks stood up to the mighty Persians and saved their city from certain destruction, they earned the respect that would drive their civilization for generations to come.
The Battle of Marathon was significant for the Athenians in two major ways. But now everyone in the Greek world had to recognize that they were one of the greatest powers to be reckoned with.